Recording in progress.
Go ahead, Herb.
Okay, and I'd like to take this time to open the meeting, call the meeting to order for the Committee of Adjustment for the Town of Grimsby for November 15th, 2022. Committee members in attendance this evening are Dylan Bailey. Could you raise your hand, Dylan? Adam Mottershead. Adam, raise your hand. And myself, Herb Nodes, the acting chair. The staff members that are present this evening are Walter Basic, Assistant Director of Planning, Michaela Bray, Assistant Secretary Treasurer, and Spencer Pierce, Manager of Capital Engineering for 349 Book Road only. Is Spencer here?
He's going to join later.
Okay, thank you. This meeting will be live streamed. Members of the public are advised that our meetings are live streamed by the Town of Grimsby. Individuals and media may be audible and or visual recording during this meeting. As a reminder, all electronic devices are to be silence mode during our committee meetings. Okay, the procedures for the meetings. For the purpose of the Zoom meeting, applicants will be placed in a waiting room until their application is heard. The purpose of the application and the relevant correspondence will be heard, following which the applicant will be given the opportunity to address the application. Any person wishing concerns with the application will then be given an opportunity to speak. And at the conclusion of the discussion, the committee will render a decision and advise of any applicable conditions. Copies of the decisions will be mailed to the applicant and or agent and any other person who files a written request requesting a copy of the decision. Please email Michaela Bray, Assistant Secretary Treasurer, at mbray@grimsby.ca. Any person, corporation, or public body has the right to appeal either the decision itself or the conditions of consent to the Ontario Land Tribunal within 20 days of the date of the decision of the consent to survey application, or within 20 days of the date of a decision of a minor variance application. Everyone present will be given the opportunity to comment on the applications being heard. Please address your comments and questions through the chair. Each participant will be provided 10 minutes to speak. Each participant may speak only once. If you hear your comments presented by someone else, please do not duplicate the remarks. When you are called, we ask that you state your name and your address for the records. Agencies commenting on the applications may request that certain conditions be imposed. Voicing objections to these conditions will not adversely affect the committee's decision. All members of the committee have viewed the properties on the agenda tonight and are familiar with the lands that are subject for the application. I'd like to do any of the members of the committee have any pecuniary interest with respect to any of the applications here before us this evening? And I have none. Okay. Committee members shall be excused from the meeting during the discussion. They may not be participating if they do have any. Okay. Are there any requests for withdrawal or adjournments? Michaela?
Nope, no requests.
Okay. Have committee members had the opportunity to review the minutes from October 18th, 2022 meeting? And are there any questions or comments about the minutes? Okay, do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Adam Mothershead. Second by Dylan Bailey. All in favor, say aye, or raise your hand. Okay, it's moved and carried. Okay, tonight there are 3 applications before us. The applications are here first is A40-22 for 291 Wolverton Road, and then A43-22 104 Livingston Avenue, and then A05-22 for 349 Book Road. Will the Secretary Treasurer please present the applications via PowerPoint? The first
Thank
one.
you, Mr. Chair. I'm just gonna put everyone in the waiting room who's not here for the first application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good evening. The first application we have this evening is A40-22 for 291 Wolverton Road. It's a minor variance to facilitate the construction of a secondary suite in an existing 2-story detached garage. The variance being requested in particular is to permit a secondary suite in an existing 2-story detached garage, whereas secondary suites are permitted within a single detached or semi-detached dwelling only. Here is the site plan of the property, the same one that was circulated on the notice. So in the top left corner is the existing accessory building, so the garage, it's 2 levels. Then sort of in the center is the existing dwelling. And then in the top right corner, it's the existing septic bed. So aerial photography to show the context of the site. Just for reference, in the top part of that yellow corner is where the garage is. Street imagery, just taken from Google, showing the existing dwelling and the existing 2-story garage. For correspondence from the Town of Grimsby Planning Department, there are no objections. Planning staff believe it meets the 4 tests, and they recommend, or they request that the condition be implemented that the secondary suite is confined to the 2nd story of the existing accessory building, the garage only. From Niagara Region, they didn't have any concerns, and to note, there was a septic inspection that came back all right for a secondary suite. From the Public Works Department, they didn't have any comments. From Heritage, no comments. From the Conservation Authority, again, no comments. And from Grimsby Power, they didn't have any comments. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant or agent present tonight?
Yes, I'm Ian Stubberfield, 291 Wolverton.
Okay, do you have anything to add to your application?
No, that sums it up. We had extra space in the garage that we have a multi-family home here, and we just wanted to exercise some of the space there. As there was an office and with washroom already there from the previous owner.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that is here on this application, Michaela?
Nobody.
Okay. Is there any questions from the committee members on this application? Adam?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through to planning, I guess my question is, how would the variance address section 4.18 of the zoning bylaw, which says human habitation in accessory buildings is prohibited?
That's the purpose of the application for the minor variance is to permit the accessory dwelling unit or the secondary suite to be permitted within the garage. So that's the purpose of the minor variance application.
Okay, actually, I did a bit of research into this and I looked at different case law and OMB rulings, and they say where something is expressly prohibited to use in the zoning bylaw, that it's actually not a minor variance. And it was, what was the other one? Yeah, it's not considered minor, and check my notes here. Yeah, and that basically anything that overrides a prohibition in the zoning bylaw does not meet the intent. So I'm just not sure. I mean, I'm fully supportive of the application, but considering we have to meet the 4 tests and the OMB basically says that a variation of this nature would not meet it, I'm just not sure where to go.
I believe you, and Walter, you could correct me, but like you had said, this application to the Committee of Adjustment is for that variance to an exemption from that section of the bylaw. Is that correct, or the Planning Act? You're on mute, Walter.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the purpose of the application is to permit a secondary suite within the accessory building when a secondary suite is only permitted in the zoning bylaw within the existing dwelling. Now, you can take another look at this in a different way. This would also be technically a detached home also. So anyway, from the ability of the site to accommodate a second dwelling unit on the site, the property is 1 acre in area. The ability of the site to accommodate the sewage from the second dwelling unit has been cleared by the health department or the region. And from that perspective, we feel that it's appropriate.
Thank you. Well, what's
Okay.
the zoning bylaw say about how many dwelling units per lot?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Yeah, the zoning bylaw in that area, what would be the limit on the units per lot?
The zoning bylaw permits a dwelling unit on the lot.
Okay, just because under the green belt, this would be permitted. But the zoning bylaw, in my opinion, and I've read it, like I say, 1 court case and 3 OMB cases say that this variance would not be permitted. How could the applicants actually make this legal without the variance?
I'm sorry, how can they make it legal without the variance?
Yeah, because like I say, the permitting this variance is actually contrary to law. So how would they actually, like by making a breezeway, is that one way that they could actually legalize it without having need for the variance?
Yeah, I guess that's one way to make them spend more money, connect the buildings between the two, between the accessory building and the dwelling. Yeah, that could be connected. Also, a zoning amendment might be a possibility.
Okay, thank you.
We're not really changing the use. It would be in the same location. technically it would be connected to the house. And it would be an attached garage. So I'm not sure what would be accomplished by requiring them to do that.
Yeah, it's just that as a committee, like I say, having took me down a rabbit hole of law here, and I looked at different cases. There was ones where basically they say where a use is not permitted under a zoning bylaw, that it's not a minor variance. You can only vary something that's accepted. Basically, if it's prohibited, you can't flip it.
Are you referring to it, or are you referring to a provision in the bylaw?
Yeah, the 4.1.
Case law you referred to, was it with respect to a use? Like as an example, if the bylaw prohibits an industrial use on a residential lot, is what the case law is that you're referring to?
Yeah, let me just pull one out.
Because the use we're talking about here is a residential use, and a residential use is permitted on the property. The question is where the residential use is permitted, whether it's in the house or whether it's in the garage. So it's a provision. So it's not a prohibition of the use. It's a prohibition of the it's a regulation essentially about
exactly one quote from the OMB.
Is permitted. So it's not saying that the secondary suite is prohibited on the lot. A secondary suite is permitted on the lot. The question is, where is it permitted? To me, it's the same as if a provision in the zoning bylaw says a secondary suite is not allowed to have an entranceway to the secondary suite from the front of the house.
But that would be actually varying. Just the
So a
location.
use is permitted, but where is the use permitted? That's a regulation. It's not a use.
Okay, thank you.
Putting the use, it's a regulation. That's what the zoning bylaw is doing by saying that.
Okay, is there any other comments from the committee members? Anyone else, the applicant, any further comments? Okay, do I have?
Pardon?
Okay. Do I have a motion for this application? Dylan? Do I have a seconder for this application? Okay, myself. All in favor for this application, raise your hand.
Mr. Chair, did you want me to read the resolution with the condition, just so we've got it on record?
Yes, okay, yes, please.
Be it resolved, so through you, Mr. Chair, be it resolved that submission A40-22 for 291 Wolverton Road be to permit a secondary suite in an existing two-story detached garage, whereas secondary suites are permitted within a single detached or semi-detached dwelling only, be approved. The reason for the decision being that the four tests are met with the condition that the secondary suite is confined to the secondary story of the existing garage building. This, of course, all within the context of it being legal within our official plan and zoning bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, all in favor, say, raise your hand again. Opposed? Okay, it's carried. There is a 20-day appeal period for the application. We can go on to the next application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Joe. Was there anyone else joining you tonight?
Actually, Pam is here with me, so Pam Giro Norton.
Okay,
And she is, I'm just here just helping the facilitator with the deck and stuff.
okay, but there was no one else who signed in separately.
No.
Okay.
No.
So we'll get started. Okay, so the next application I have is for 104 Livingston Avenue, number A4322. It's minor variances to facilitate the construction of a new 2-story single detached dwelling. The variances in particular being requested are to permit a minimum interior side yard of 1.49 meters, whereas 1.8 meters is required. To permit a minimum exterior side yard of 2.23 meters, whereas 6 meters are required. To permit a maximum lot coverage of 34.33%, whereas 25% is permitted. And to permit a maximum building depth of 22.64 meters, whereas 20 meters is permitted. So the site plan, so just to note, this is a corner property. The front yard is technically Livingston Avenue, as it's the shorter frontage of the two. However, they intend to have like their front door, like the front face of the house, onto Glenwood Drive. Aerial photography just showing the context of the neighborhood. Currently the dwelling faces onto Livingston. You can see that their driveway in that yellow box is onto Livingston. So again, they're just proposing to also rotate the configuration of the house, so their driveway would be on Glenwood as well as their front door. So just imagery from Google Maps. Above is the current front yard of the site. And then below is the side yard currently, which would then become kind of the front of the house with the driveway onto Glenwood as well. So for correspondence from planning, there weren't any concerns. And it's believed that the application meets the 4 tests. From Public Works, they didn't have any concerns. From Heritage, no concerns. From the Conservation Authority, no concerns. Grimsby Power, no concerns. And then I also seem to have forgot to put CN on this slide, but I got a letter from CN. They recommend that there be a condition of approval because the dwelling is within 300 meters of the railway right of way. So I can read it out. The clause to be inserted on any sort of agreement would be warning Canadian National Railway Company or its assigns or successors in interest has or have a right of way within 300 meters from the land to the subject hereof. There may be alterations to or expansions of the railway facilities on such rights of way in the future, including the possibility that the railway or its assigns or successors, as foresaid, may expand its operations, which expansions may affect the living environment of the residents in the vicinity, notwithstanding the inclusion of any noise and vibration attenuating measures in the design of the development and individual dwellings. CNR will not be responsible for any complaints or claims arising from use of such facilities and or operations on, over, or under the aforesaid rights of way. They also request that there be a registration of an environmental easement for operational noise and vibration emissions in favor of CN. And then they also request that basic mitigation measures in the dwelling be implemented in order to limit potential impacts And these would be including, but not limited to, a provision for air conditioning, allowing occupants to keep the windows closed during warmer months. Exterior cladding facing the railway achieving a minimum STC rating of 54 or equivalent. So this would be done through like masonry. They also suggest acoustically upgraded windows facing the railway with appropriate specifications, and locating noise sensitive rooms away from the railway side. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
Hi there.
Okay, do you have anything to add or respond to the comments and conditions that have been requested?
We just like to ask about the CN rail conditions, as we understood it, we just went over it. Does that mean at any time they can take our land? And sorry.
No,
Okay.
it's just for sound and noise and vibration.
Okay.
Okay,
If I may add,
yes.
I'm assuming you'll be providing the correspondence to the applicant to detail specifically so they know exactly what it is about. But generally, they're recommending certain construction techniques for the building to minimize any noise that would be generated from transmitted from the railway to the interior of the building. Like the types of windows that you use, the type of construction materials that you use on the side of the building facing north. And I believe they also recommend, is it a warning clause, Michaela?
Yes.
The warning of future potential noise.
Yeah, okay, so that's a standard. We're okay with that.
Okay, any comments or questions from the committee members? Dylan?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to ask the applicant, well, first of all, I didn't quite realize that the house is going to be situated facing Glenwood, so that answers a couple of questions that I did have. The second, or one of the questions that I had was, with this being a second-story dwelling and your neighbors to the west being a single story, and with this being 1.49 meters instead of the standard 1.8, although it's really only an additional foot. Have you spoken to them, and if they have any privacy concerns? They're not here today, or shadowing or anything like that?
Well, we've not talked to them directly, but we did discuss that we're currently at 1.49 meters. So it's just the plan was to try to maintain that, whatever existing is.
Okay, and so can you sort of give me some idea of, because I wasn't exactly sure, so is the garage obviously will be one story and will be approximately where the neighbor's house is now, and then the majority of the two-story structure will be further back on the property?
No, so what's going to happen is the over the garage is the 2 bedrooms and a washroom.
Okay.
So that's so sort of a side split, and then
Okay.
the remainder of the house is a bungalow.
Okay.
So just to translate that, the garage would be nearest to Livingston Avenue, and it's over the garage where the 2 stories would be. The back of the building would be 1 story.
Correct.
But where it's adjacent to the neighbor's rear yard, that would be 1 story in it. What's proposed to be.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? I have one for you, Walter. Now, with the front yard being on Livingston Avenue, in some of the bylaws, there's been a requirement that there be no garage protruding beyond the face of the front of the building. Does that apply in this situation as well?
It does, but it doesn't contravene that provision because there is a second floor of the garage to the face of the garage. So the garage won't go beyond the second floor above the garage.
Okay. My second question then is to the applicant is how will the access to the second story of the garage be achieved if the remainder of the house is 1 story and the garage is 2 story and they're butting against each other? What is the access to the units above the garage?
So it's a hallway, just a stairway from the main floor to the second floor. So it's one house, like a side split. So there is no separate entrance from the unit above the garage. It's all one unit. It's one home. So you come into the garage. There'd be 2 stairs into the main floor, and then on the left of that, you'd have a staircase to go up to the second floor.
So the access is totally within the garage then?
No, totally within the house.
So then there is a portion of the house that is 2 stories. So you have access to a 2-story?
Yes, I believe, yes. Yes, there's no drawing attached to the proposed drawing.
We have a copy of the floor plans. It might be helpful.
Yeah, I do have, I sent it with the application.
Okay.
I can put it up. I'll just
Okay,
look
that
for it.
would be great. That might help.
Okay.
Everyone see that?
So Michaela, could you, with the hand, go over where the staircase is to the second floor? There?
Yeah.
And then
That's
second floor,
that's
which is
the-
the garage, you can see where the access point is. Right there.
Yes, it looks like there's also a entranceway from the garage into that stairway
To the basement.
to the second story of the garage. Is that
That's to the
correct?
basement.
That's to the basement?
That's correct.
Okay. So then the second story of the garage still goes over a portion of the house itself. It has to for the stairway to give access to it.
No, it can be, the stairway can be contained within the roof structure of the 1-story portion of the building.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get. It's going to be within the attic space. Is that correct, the owner? Is the applicant there?
Joe, if
I'm here, sorry.
is that the case? Is it going to be within the roof structure of the building?
Yes, for sure. Right, so
Stairs
the
facing
stairs are
the second-
stacked on top of each other, and you can either come into the hallway door, and then you can go down the basement from the other end, or go up the stairs to go up to the second floor.
Okay. It would have been very helpful if we had elevation drawings for this. You don't have elevation drawings for this project?
No, not yet. Once we're okay with the variances, then that was our next step, is to get the elevations done.
It should have been the other way around. You
Yeah.
get the elevations.
Sorry,
before you
Mr.
make
Chair,
application.
sorry, Chair, is there a reason for need for elevations?
Well,
For
just,
any of the variances that we're requesting?
if it's gives more information to the committee, it's appreciated to have them. Okay. Any further comments from the committee? Any further comments from the committee? No. Can I have a motion then for this application?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there's a member from the public here who would like to speak.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Is there from the public?
Yeah,
I don't
it's the
see them on the screen.
neighbor,
Oh,
the neighbor from 106 Livingston.
okay. I don't see them on the screen.
She's here, Jennifer Gross.
Do
Okay,
you want me to just start talking? Can you hear me?
yes.
I do have questions about the elevations as well, because of the way the house will go, it will definitely affect like the privacy of my backyard. So I think it will kind of make
Okay,
it big.
before you go further, could we have your full name and your address, please?
Oh, sorry. It's Jennifer Gross, and I live at 106 Livingston Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
So I am here just because I am kind of curious about the elevations, because depending on the height of the new structure and where like windows are at the back of the house would affect the privacy of my backyard. So I am curious to see, like, where they're placing the house, where it's as far as the house is now to the property line, like that's okay. And I'm just kind of curious about the fencing around the property and what that's going to look like, because our fence is falling down. And if they've had a survey done to make sure that that property line is where we think it is.
Okay, would the applicant like to comment on the comments from the neighbor?
Thank you. Yeah, so as far as the survey goes, that's part of the process that we are going to do. We need to process the survey and the elevation drawings, hopefully to go to the next step to get our permits. As far as the elevation, so that side of the house, we're going to minimize our windows for privacy. We're still proposing a 1.4 setback based on what we have today there. And on the garage, there won't be any more windows. On the second floor, I believe there's only one window. So, and then most of the focus will be on the other side of the house and the backyard of the house. And then as far as the fence, that fence needs some attention, and either before the proposed construction or shortly after, the property will be fenced off.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? I just have one, and that has to do with the location of the building, that it should be located by a certified land surveyor so that the setbacks are correct. And that would be one condition that I would like to see put on the application. Any other comments? Okay, may I have a motion on this application?
Motion to approve with conditions. that meets the 4 tests, and I'd like to include the conditions as listed previously, the sea and rail conditions, and also with the chair's suggestion about that the I guess the site be laid out in accordance with the Ontario Land Survey.
Okay, thank you. Seconder for this application? Dylan? All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. Okay, it has been passed and carried. Again, there will be a 20-day appeal period for this application. And can we read the resolution? Resolve that submission A4322 by Palmyra, hopefully I get this right, Gerald Norton of 104 Livingston Avenue to permit a minimum interior side yard of 1.49 meters, whereas 1.8 meters is required, to prevent a minimum exterior side yard of 2.23 meters, whereas 6 meters is required, to permit a maximum lot coverage of 34.33%, whereas 25% is permitted, to permit a maximum building depth of 22.64 meters, whereas 20 meters is permitted. Be approved with conditions, conditions from the CN Railway, and also the condition of an Ontario land surveyor to locate and lay out the building according to the setbacks. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Again, sorry. Carried. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next application on the agenda.
I'm just gonna give a minute for Spencer
Okay.
from the Public Works Department to log in. He's just joining now. Hi, everyone. So the next application we have is number A0522 for 349 Book Road, part 2. I'm just gonna run through the application quickly as presented on the notice that was mailed to everybody. So it's minor variances to facilitate the construction of a new single detached 2-story dwelling. And the variances, as stated on the notice, are to permit an interior side yard to the south of 0.94 meters, whereas 1.8 meters is required, to permit an interior side yard to the north of 0.91 meters, whereas 1.8 meters is required, to permit a minimum front yard of 5.8 meters, whereas 8.13 meters is required, to permit an encroachment of 2.15 meters into the required minimum front yard, whereas 1.5 meter encroachment is permitted into the required front yard, to permit a lot coverage of 26.11%, whereas 15% is permitted, and to permit a flat roof, whereas flat and mansard roofs are not permitted. So this is the site plan, the one that was circulated on the notice indicating where the variances are. I have elevations that were submitted. So this shows the proposed front elevation, the proposed rear elevation. And then I have two side elevations. So I have the one to the north as well as the one to the south. And then just that balcony in the back was just kept on in error, but it's not proposed anymore. And then I have aerial photography to show the context of the neighborhood. So the subject site is outlined in that dark yellow rectangle. So I have imagery from Google Maps taken November 2021. And then for correspondence, I have correspondence from the agencies listed on the screen. So I'll just review those quickly. So from the planning department, just a moment, they say that the variances proposed by the applicant, that they should be deferred to allow for further information as required by the Public Works Department, to allow for that additional information to be submitted. Then from our Public Works Department, I have noted that the Public Works Department cannot support the minor variances for the below reasons. There's insufficient information that's been provided by the applicant to demonstrate how the drainage and proposed grading will adequately be handled with respect to the proposed setback reductions. They note that the proposed second story of the building is proposed to be above one of the proposed manhole structures. They note that the plan provided has conflicting information, and that the noted location of the existing storm drain does not line up with the noted bottom of bank nor the noted concrete structure. And they recommend that the applicant and their engineer contact the Public Works Department to set up a meeting to discuss the proposed design further. From the region, they had no objections. However, they have requested the implementation of a noise clause. So I will just open that up. So they request that the following clause be included for all future purchase and sale or lease agreements of the property. And it would state purchasers and tenants are advised that despite the inclusion of the noise control features in the development, sound levels due to traffic from the Queen Elizabeth Highway, QEW, may occasionally interfere with some activities of the dwelling's occupants, as the sound levels may exceed the Ministry of the Environment's Conservation and Parks noise criteria. Region also requests a condition that that minimum noise mitigation measures and devices are included during the design and construction of the future dwelling, including double paned windows, an exterior brick facade, central air conditioning system, and solid board fencing along the south lot line. From Heritage, I have no concerns. From the Conservation Authority, again, no concerns. From Grimsby Power, no concerns. And I've missed listing CN on this slide. However, I did get some conditions to be implemented from CN. So they request that the following clause be inserted in all development agreements, offers to purchase, and agreements of purchase and sale or lease of each dwelling unit within 300 meters of the railway right-of-way. So I'll just read the clause. Warning, Canadian National Railway Company or its assigns or successors in interest have a rights of way within 300 meters from the land of the subject hereof. There may be alterations to or expansions of the railway facilities on such rights of way in the future, including the possibility that the railway or its assigns or successors, as aforesaid, may expand its operations, which expansion may affect the living environment of the residents in the vicinity, notwithstanding the inclusion of any noise and vibration attenuating measures in the design of the development of the individual dwellings. CNR will not be responsible for any complaints or claims arising from the use of such facilities and or operations on, over, or under the aforesaid rights of way. CN also requests that the conditions include the implementation of the following mitigation measures in the dwelling design and construction. That there be forced air ventilation systems with central air conditioning, acoustically upgraded windows meeting the minimum requirements of the Ontario Building Code and providing a maximum 35 dBA indoor limit for bedrooms and 40 dBA for living rooms, as well as locating noise sensitive rooms away from the railway side. And they also request that the owner shall be required to grant CN an environmental easement or operational noise and vibration emissions registered against the subject property in favor of CN. And that's all. Thank you.
Can I start?
Okay, Miss, this is the applicant here.
Yes. Good evening, Mr.
Okay.
Chair and committee members. Myself, Ashwik Chhabra, and I'm the designer for this project. So I feel we are still not satisfying Public Work Department's condition. So we will like to defer the meeting and satisfy that conditions first and do the committee meeting again.
So are you requesting this application be deferred?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So other than what we've seen so far, do I have a motion for deferring this application from the committee? Dylan? Or did you have comments?
No, I'm prepared to make a motion based on the staff report and obviously what the applicant is suggesting, that we defer this in order for the issues raised by Public Works to be satisfied. So I hereby move that this application be deferred indefinitely until such time as it's prepared or until it's ready to come back to this committee.
Okay, do I have a seconder for this deferral? Okay, seconded. Is there any comments from anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this application? Okay. Can I, all in favor, say aye? Oh, Adam, you had comments?
Yeah, sorry, I just had questions for planning. I'm just wondering if it's necessary to have variances on there for the frontage and the lot size, because according to RD3, they're not within the requirement.
Yeah, it's an existing lot of record, so the lot dimensions are legal non-conforming.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and also I have a question for Walter as well. This application seems to be for a separate lot, but it's giving an address for the house next door. So what is the actual address of this lot that this house is going to be built on?
The address for the lot will be determined by the building department upon
Okay,
of a building.
because right now this application is stating the location is 349 Book Road, which is the house next door. So I think Public Works has to, Public Works has to give a proper address for this before an application can be heard again. So the
Yeah,
proper address will need to be received because we can't make a statement on a house that's not going to be built.
Thank you, Mr. Through you, Chair. The lot is vacant. It therefore does not have an address. So the purpose of using that address is to geographically locate, so people just generally see where it is. And by looking at the map, you can presume where the lot is relative to the neighboring house.
Oh, okay, but legally,
We do not address vacant lots.
Okay, that vacant lot must have an address someplace.
It doesn't.
If it doesn't, then it would need to be assigned one before it can be applied for a variance, because we can't pass a variance on a lot that's not requesting it.
We can provide you with a legal description of the lot, but to the average layperson, that wouldn't describe where the lot is. So we could provide
Okay,
we can provide a legal description of the lot.
then the application should say the lot immediately south of,
We can do that also.
because it by saying if we pass this here for 349, that means house 349 can have all these setbacks, and it doesn't apply to this lot. So if this should be rectified by the time it comes back to the committee again.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. And they must, once it gets built, it has to have an address for the fire department, for the police department, et cetera.
That is absolutely, yeah, sorry, through you, Chair. That is so that's why
they
the
should be able to-
addresses are assigned when building permit applications are submitted.
Okay. And they should know it by then. So somebody knows what that address is going to be, is what I'm getting at. Right now, they know what that address is going to be. If a building permit came in tomorrow for this, they would know what that address would be. Okay.
Actually, it does not have an address, so that's why there isn't an address that we suppose it might be. But again, it's the building process is where we notify all of the relevant agencies, including MPAC, the fire department, and any other, and all the utilities. So we send a mass mail out to all of those people. This building permit is associated with this address, and this is the new address for this particular lot. That's why we use the building process to establish an address.
Okay.
But we'll try to better describe the location of the lot the next time it's circulated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Adam, you have a question?
Yeah, I was actually just going to suggest, along with what planning said, is that you use the legal title. I think it's Lot 2, Concession 1, North Grimsby, something like that.
That's fine, as long as it indicates that on the application. Do you understand what I'm trying to say about if we pass this? Okay.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. The resolution for the decision should provide a legal address, but the notice the next time out, it may be more appropriate to say the vacant lot south of, what is it, 349 or 429?
349.
349 Book Road, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion. We have a seconder for the deferral. All in favor, say aye. Okay, opposed? None. So it's carried that this be deferred indefinitely until such time as the application is all together.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And there's no other Oh, there's no other applications for this hearing tonight? Okay. Any other comments from the members? Okay, just one comment, Michaela. We can let everyone go. That's,
And do you want the live stream stopped?
sure. Yes, please.
Sorry, Chair, member Matter appears to have his hand up.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
actually, it's
sorry.
nothing to do. It's just wondering about when we're going to be back in person.
I can answer that through the chair. We would have to have training by the clerk's department to have meetings in the council chamber. They're pretty busy with the new council coming in right now,